Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in the last few videos, we talked about different ways to place more emphasis on different body parts to get them to grow more. The first video we did on upper chest, you can check it out. And in the second video, we talked about how to get a full back workout. So not just focusing on vertical pulling or horizontal pulling, how to focus on both of those, but get more back activation while doing it. Now today's video is gonna be a little different. We're gonna talk about biceps. But before we jump in, I gotta let you know, I've been with BSN for about 10 years, and they have their own website, gobsn.com. And if you guys are low on supplements, maybe you want to get some protein, some pre-workout, or some creatine, you can use my code SCOTT15 and get 15% off and free shipping when you go to their website, gobsn.com. So special thank you to BSN for supporting me for the last 10 years and supporting our gains. And now I'm going to support your bicep gains. All right, here we go. So a lot of people talk about progressive overload in many different ways, okay? And you can progressive overload in a variety of ways when doing a workout program. That's what's so great about exercise and fitness, is there's more than one way to accomplish a goal, and if you get bored or stop seeing results, you can then switch to another way. And the technique that I'm going to show you here is something you can apply to multiple exercises, but I want to talk about it specifically with biceps because most of the techniques I see people teach have more to do with intensifying the concentric phase of the movement. Now, the concentric phase is another way of saying on the way up, and the eccentric phase is another way of saying on the way down, okay? You guys just learned some new terms. Awesome! I think Ricky might have learned a new term too. He's not that smart. But seriously, guys, so some of the techniques that you've seen to increase the intensity of the concentric phase of the movement is doing, instead of doing one arm at a time when you're doing dumbbell bicep curls, do both arms at a time, okay, at the same time. It's going to make the exercise a bit more difficult. Or you can do a pause rep. You can come up, pause in the middle, and then come all the way to the top. Or you can do a stop and go, where you come up, come down halfway, and then go back up, and then go all the way down. And then lastly, another technique you can do to try to hit more of that biceps peak is to come all the way up, and when you get to the top of the movement, try to twist and turn your wrist in as much as you can to activate more biceps. But what's happening here is we're still focusing mainly on how to address the concentric phase of the movement and make it more difficult, and we're forgetting that it's actually during the eccentric phase where you get the most muscle breakdown, and you're actually 40% stronger in that part of the movement. So no matter how many techniques you do to curl the weight up to try to make that more difficult, on the way down is still not getting any harder, okay? Because you're so much stronger. Think about it, right? You might not be able to do a pull-up, but you can lower yourself really easy. That's the eccentric phase. So a technique that I developed is something that I call cheat and recover. I have a whole program on cheat and recover. If you've never had an easy time busting through a plateau, this program is going to be something you're going to want to tackle as soon as your gym opens up again. Well, maybe not right away. Maybe get your body acclimated back to the gym and then try cheat and recover. But I'm going to teach you a variation of it. The normal cheat and recover is you do 8 reps with normal form and then 8 cheat reps. And essentially a cheat rep is where you skip the concentric phase of the movement. So normal cheat and recover would be 8 reps like this, and then 8 reps overloading and focusing on a negative and using a bit of momentum to bring the weight up and then control the weight down. What I want you guys to do, and you can apply this to your training right now, let's say you're doing bicep curls, okay, and you're doing sets of 8 repetitions or 8 to 10 repetitions. I want 70% of how many reps you're doing to be with proper form, and then the last few, I want you to use cheat reps. So if you were doing 10 repetitions, I'd want the first 7 to be with proper form, then the last 3 to be overloading, using a bit of momentum, or doing a cheat rep, as I like to say. So in order to do that, if I was normally curling 25s, I want to bump the weight up to 30s or maybe 35s, depending on how strong you are and what you can handle. So sets 1 through 7 are going to be, semi-intense, and by the time I get to 7, I should start to feel fatigued to the point where I can't make it to 10. And in order to make it to 10, I'm going to use a bit of momentum, and I'm going to fight the negative on the way down, just like this. And I'm going to fight those last 3 repetitions. And if you've never done this before, you're going to feel a lot of activation in your biceps. Because again, most of these progressive overload techniques you guys are utilizing are only for the concentric phase. Now, your muscles are starting to be put under all kinds of tension that they've never really seen before because they've never really handled that much weight for that many reps. So training, it's a journey. It's fun. It should be fun. And you should always be open to learning new techniques to make your training more intense, because training harder isn't necessarily coming up with crazy exercises. It's taking the same exercises you already have and just applying some science to them and coming up with different ways to make the repetitions a bit more difficult. As always, guys, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you tap that like button. And if you want a full program, like I said, you want to go to the gym, you want to bust through some plateaus, check out my full Cheat and Recover program on my website, muscularstrength.com. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.